Hello everyone. As someone once said, the weather outside is frightful. And so today I just wanted to talk about self-love and compassion. I think that a lot of times when we're grappling with debilitating suffering caused by repetitive thought loops, the pain that results from that, and just various symptoms, it can be pretty brutal, to put it lightly. So I do want to acknowledge that, because I know it could feel a little frustrating if we hear someone just say like, oh yeah, like you should just be kinder to yourself, or like, why don't you try that out? And you're like, okay, Betty or Billy or Bobby, I feel like my head's about to explode, and clearly, like, you don't get it. You don't get it. So I do want to acknowledge how intense this stuff can be, and just say, like, I get it. I get it. But one thing that really does start to help is just catching in little ways habits we might be engaging in and saying, like, is that loving to me right now? So just as one example, sometimes these repetitive thought loops will often cause the humans wrapped within it to engage in behaviors such as researching things for hours on Google or Facebook groups, or just like really depressing content or content about symptoms, etc., and just kind of like using all of that content to just keep that fear and anger and stress cycle alive. And it's not our fault when we're doing this, it's what these loops will do. But just taking a little time to kind of catch it and say like, is this loving to me right now? Like, what would be more compassionate? And it could feel really hard at first, but switching it to something like, oh, actually, let's just, like, at first it'll almost be like, I always use the word like forcing yourself, or you force yourself to do something else. Like, let's, for maybe the first time in a really long time, let's spend 20 minutes looking at content that like really makes me laugh. And if you're not at the point where, like, I know sometimes it can feel really hard to even be at that point to laugh, but know that like that will come with time. Like, what are some things that used to really make me laugh? And almost forcing yourself to take 20 minutes to engage in that behavior or habit instead, and saying, wow, like that felt a lot better. That seems a lot kinder. And kind of thinking about it as like, okay, I do know what, like, I know when we're really in it, it's hard to even grapple with the difference between this, but kind of being like, okay, I know what good versus bad feels like. I definitely know what that feels like. And so what feels better right now? And asking yourself that. And then I think for a lot of people who end up, again, to no fault of their own, in loops like these, I think our brains kind of like the almost validation of feeling like we've done something good, or like good for ourselves. So even setting up like a little reward system for yourself. This is not me advertising an app, so I'm not even going to say what it is here, because I have nothing to promote. But for me, I found like a really cute little app where when you accomplish tasks, then your little like creature on the app, you get fake like coins that you can then put towards buying your little creature like the cutest clothes and sending them on trips. And so I use that all the time now when I complete tasks to be like, yay, I today I did, let's just say, like a 30-minute walk, and now my little creature, like, I can give them all these things. And on the app I named mine Love, just so that then it's kind of cultivating this like self-love and compassion too, to be like, oh my God, the fact I just accomplished this task and this task, it's really helping love out. And this way we're setting up a nice little reward system for ourselves with like positive habits instead of what the loop would love us to engage in, which again is like compulsive researching, sobbing hysterically, or catastrophizing symptoms because it's terrifying and it's understandable we're doing that. Talking to people about the symptoms, etc. And that's part of the condition. It's not something that you're consciously doing, but because you want to win, rather than that loop, starting to do stuff like that. Also just catching things like, a lot of us, I think, tend to be, perfectionistic, or we try really hard to do like a million things, and those are all like amazing qualities. It's really impressive. I'm always like so impressed by people in these loops because I know how bad the suffering is, and then I'm like, oh my God, but they're still like doing all of this stuff, or even if they're not, because they're at the point where the loop just has totally taken over that we get to. It's amazing. But slowly, as you're re-engaging in life, starting to catch things like, oh, maybe if you've been working for a while and could feel yourself getting really stressed, just like catching that and almost forcing yourself again. So engaging in self-care, or compassion, forcing yourself to take a break and maybe go get like a treat you like or something. And so, yeah, just catching those little moments. In some of the classes I was taking that Alan Gordon was leading, some online classes, he would talk about just like not treating yourself like a drill sergeant, which a lot of us tend to do. And if you have to go to the bathroom, like stopping to go to the bathroom as soon as you notice it. I used to just be like, oh, I could power through this drive or this task, because my brain, I tend to get really roped into something, and then I could be like focused on it for hours, but I wouldn't stop. So being kind to yourself in those ways too, whether it's a bathroom break or just like noticing your body signals, or if you're hungry, going to get food rather than being like, oh, I could just like make it a little longer. This applies to like overcommitting maybe to plans, or I think it's a hard mix when you're recovering from this stuff. You do want to be keeping busier than you have been, because often what I notice in a lot of people grappling with this stuff is because we're suffering so bad and we're in pain, we self-isolate, of course, or we isolate and we avoid things, but it's because like we're in so much pain. But then that kind of keeps that like isolation loop alive. So to start getting better, you want to have this mix between like, okay, what are a few plans maybe I can plan this week that I can look forward to? And even if you're not at that point, just like maybe making it even shorter, like 20-minute spurts of whatever it is you could look forward to. Adding that back into your schedule so your mind is a little more active and focused on being around people is really huge. But then also not pushing yourself so much that you don't want to do any of those activities ever again, which is what wasn't my fault. I didn't have the tools, but I used to do that all the time, like push myself because I thought I was supposed to be socializing, and everyone tells you to just, go get back into life and living life. And it's confusing then, because when we're living life and we're like really suffering in the midst of it, we're kind of like, well, this isn't how I want to be experiencing everything. I'm in excruciating pain. So starting a little more slowly with each of the things that we're placing back into our schedule. So being kind to yourself. These are just a few examples of some things you can do as you're starting to recover from OCD, or chronic pain and symptoms, all of that fun stuff. And little by little, it's about changing the habit. So I always think again of Dr. Joe's book, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. I reference that a lot, but it's like, it's so true. Really just becoming that new person is changing all of the old habits we had. That I know he has a meditation where he says something like, and that's not loving to you. So catching the habits that were not loving to you and thinking about, like, in this moment, what is most loving towards me? And if it's hard for you to build up that self-compassion towards yourself, I think Alan Gordon has talked about this, where he had like a little guy that he would talk to. For me now, like, I really do like my little creature on the app, and I have so much compassion towards her, my little love, and turning that back towards you. So I hope this is helpful. I hope that you're all doing well. If you're not, know that it is gonna get better. Like, it is. There's a lot of limiting beliefs out there, especially in the like regular MD world. Unfortunately, but the good news is that more and more people are starting to show us and teach that you can recover from a lot of stuff that previously you're kind of taught that you can't in certain worlds. I don't know. But the good news is that you can, and you can feel better. And it's a limiting belief to think that, you can't. It's not our fault because we're so conditioned by various institutions, etc. But the good news is there's new wonderful institutions out there teaching new things. So, all right, I'm getting a bit off topic here, but I am sending all of you guys a big hug. I am so proud of all of you, and I am so confident that you're just really, really worthy of feeling good again, and you so deserve to feel good again. You so deserve it. You guys are my heroes. Like, I know what it feels like to grapple with this, and anyone working to overcome it is pretty amazing, and deserves to feel great. So that's the spiel for today. I hope to talk to you guys soon.